Now, I don't know whether it is the American President-elect Donald Trump which has initiated it, or was this already in the play, but lots and lots of changes that have been now announced by Marc Miller yesterday. What is Canadian immigration without all these changes being announced? But these are significant. These are significant actually to the extent of even being explosive. A lot of you were expecting some of these, but let's go through them. There are four main announcements that were made by Marc Miller. The first one was that they will be introducing legislative changes so that it allows Canada to issue, to suspend, to change, to revoke visa documents, to even cancel ongoing applications that are in the inventory. Okay.
We're proposing to give Canada more control over its immigration documents as well, so we respond to exceptional events in ways that protect Canada and our public resources. So we'll be introducing legislative amendments that will allow us to change, suspend, or cancel immigration documents, including visas, as well as to suspend or cancel applications in our inventory when it's deemed to be in the public interest, for example, in cases of mass fraud.
This is to circumvent a lot of fraud that happens. If you remember, nearly 10,000 letters of acceptance that have been received by international students are considered to be fraudulent. Now, how would they actually do something about it other than actually canceling such applications? There are also other measures that IRCC has been taking over the recent past to overcome certain fraudulent activities within the international student circuit, but that's a different thing. But this was one of the announcements that they made, that they said that they'll be bringing the legislative changes so that it allows IRCC to cancel applications, cancel visas, revoke visas, amend visas, change the validity if they're required to do that. So all of that will happen. Second change that was announced is that the flag polling option will now be ended.
The first is to put an end to an irritant with the U.S., which is a practice known as flag polling. People that leave Canada with no intention to go back, no intention to spend any time in the U.S., but then immediately go back in to get quicker processing at the border, where they would have to wait in Canada. When this change comes into effect, temporary residents already in Canada will have to apply online to extend their stay, and flag polling will no longer be an option.
Flag polling basically is, if a person is in Canada already with a valid status, they could go across the land border to the US and take a U-turn, come back to the Canadian side, and then apply for study permit, work permit, extension, or other aspects of immigration applications that are applicable to them in that situation. Now, this process will also be ended. This was currently being used by people for spouse open work permits, for extension of their stays, for LMIA work permits. These are some of the major ones that were being used. Now, this obviously irritates a lot as far as the American border offices are concerned. Imagine having so many people who keep coming every day asking to be flag polled. So the administrative refusals have to be administered over there, and different documentation also has to be created. So it's annoying for the American officers, and therefore this is one thing that they really want to do here, is to completely shut down the flag polling process. Now, this flag polling process, in lieu of that, initially IRCC had indicated, or rather Canada had indicated, that they would create some centers. They would open some centers across different cities or different urban centers in Canada where you could actually go to the office and get some processes done online itself, something like Service Canada. However, what Marc Miller has indicated, it is simply about extending these applications or your status online, and nothing has been said about creating or starting any service centers for the offline processing. So let's see how that goes. And as of now, dates of implementing these policies have not been announced. So as of right now, flag polling is still open. You could still go ahead and complete your flag polling process. If at all, you have to do that. Now, the third very, very important one was the asylum processes. IRCC is looking to bring out some changes in that as well. Again, legislative changes so that they can very quickly and efficiently decline and reject the fraudulent claims or illegitimate claims. So they want to completely revamp the asylum claims process so that it gives them a bit more jurisdiction in the sense of how they will administer those claims or how they will process them.
In addition, we'll be introducing measures to streamline the asylum system to deal quickly with illegitimate claims. This will align us, in a sense, with measures that the U.S. already has within its own jurisdiction.
As of right now, it's already been in the news that the number of asylum claims, especially from people who are inside Canada, international students, has gone up exponentially. And this, of course, is in line with the same thing. And finally, Finally, the biggest one or the most explosive one is the LMIA points. Now, I know a lot of you have always been looking for this information. You are already, considering what is going to happen with the LMIA points. Well, Marc Miller very categorically and clearly has said now that the LMIA points will be removed.
Of interest to this, and people that follow this issue, we're implementing further measures that will reinforce program integrity and reduce potential LMIA fraud, such as removing additional points that candidates receive under express entry for having a job offer. This measure is expected to remove the incentive for candidates to purchase an LMIA, resulting in increased fairness and integrity in the express entry system and taking some of the value of the fraud already being perpetrated in the LMIA system.
Now, again, the date of when these LMIA points will be removed has not been indicated, but it is just said that this will be removed. So I'm assuming, I'm hoping, with all these political turmoil that is ongoing, and of course, Donald Trump is to be sworn in as the president by the third week of January, you would assume a lot of these changes would be implemented before he takes office, so that to show the president-elect that these guys, Canadians, are serious about implementing these changes at the border for better border control as well. Thereby avoiding those 25% tariff that the president-elect has threatened Canada with. However, as far as these LMIA points are concerned, 50 points for tier code 0123, 200 points for tier code 00. That's where you get 200 points for that. Now, do they remove all of it? Do they reduce the points? Or how are they going to administer this? At this point of time, that is not yet clear. It's most likely that the 50 points will be taken off. Maybe the 200 points may be reduced. I do not know at this point of time. Again, as I said, we need to wait for more information that will come through. As far as the arranged employment is concerned, now arranged employment also gets the job offer points, 50 points and 200 points. That hasn't been mentioned. Nothing has been said about it. I'm going to assume at this point of time that the arranged employment points for the ICT work permits for people who are here on closed work permits, have completed their 1 year and have the job offer, I think their points will remain intact. At least that's my opinion at this point of time, because the whole point of removing these extra points is to curtail the increasing fraudulent activities. With the arranged employment for the ICT or closed work permits, that is not really the case in most cases, of course. So I don't see those being impacted, but of course, IRCC being IRCC, anything is possible as far as they're concerned. Now, will this apply to the already in process applications? Will this apply to the LMIAs that have already been approved? Will this apply to profiles that have already been created? Now, all that we have to wait and see. In my opinion, again, I feel the applications that are already in the process, means you have received your points, you have received your ITA, you already submitted your PR application. I think those should be fine. I think the ones whose express entry profiles have been created but are waiting for an ITA, they may be impacted. Or they could simply just choose to say that effective this date, any new LMIAs that have been issued, those will not have any additional points. Now, I do not know how this will be implemented. We have to wait and see how that comes about. But these are all collectively big changes that are in all sense will make a big impact on the Canadian immigration as we move forward, especially the last one, which is the LMIA points being removed, because a lot of you feel that above 500 candidates, most of them are the ones who have the LMIA. I tend to disagree with that. Of course, there are plenty of candidates who may have an LMIA and the 50 points, but I don't think most of them are those. If you have a bachelor's degree from back home, you have completed education in Canada, 1 or 2 year program, or you have a master's degree in Canada, you have CLB 9, CLB 10, you are below the age of 30, you have work experience in India or back home or whichever country you're from, and you also have work experience in Canada, you can very easily cross 500. Actually, you can go very easily to 520s as well. So therefore, it's not that difficult to get to 500 plus. And of course, there are plenty of international students who are now very easily scoring CLB 9s and 10s. And therefore, in my opinion, of course, there are plenty of people who might have got that LMIA, but that's not a very big number. But let's see how that goes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that number is high enough after all. But Overall, this will impact the complete express entry pool for sure. Not only with people who are above 500, but also people who are trying to get a higher score with the LMIA so that they could become eligible within the trade category, healthcare category, and of course, a lot of people are also eyeing the staying category. So all those are also going to get impacted. As of right now, other than that, LMIAs will still continue to be eligible to get you a closed work permit. So if that is what you were looking for, the closed work permit is not going to get impacted. The hat goes out to all those genuine people who actually have come to Canada or who have obtained an LMIA through the genuine means. And those are the ones who are really going to get hurt with this change the most. Because they were really hoping to get through with the process after having completed their work experience, having gotten that original and genuine LMIA. I feel bad for you guys, but these changes are for the collective good of everybody. And with this fraudulent activities that were really ramping up, I think this is pretty much the right call at this point of time. Stay tuned for more updates as we bring them as they happen, because this is the channel that you need to subscribe. Take care and I'll see you later.